Just saying.
Are we still going there? We're still going there. I was not jealous because she's pretty. She was pretty. I'll admit it. I was not jealous.
And your hair looks very lovely right now. Down.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
All that shit.
Only down because you asked me to.
Oh wow, you know we went live, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't gonna say anything.
Somebody gonna pull up chat or no?
Well, look at him. He's like all official. Oh, do I have to do this?
Chat.restream.io. You're a better ambassador to the brand.
Who is? What is it? Chat stream, right?
Chat.restream.
Restream, that's what it is.
.io. Let's get ready to rumble.
You were almost on time.
You actually can't say that. It's copyrighted. Serious.
Let's get ready to. Never mind. I'm just not.
Let's get ready to bumble.
I quit. I
think the National Bee Association probably that's their chant when they go and move a hive. Oh, let's get ready to bumble.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
My brain just went all sorts of wrong ways, so I'm just done.
Let's get ready to cumble. I don't know what that means, but it sounds dirty. Oh, how many towels? 2, 3 towels? 2 towels?
I know, yet to be determined.
Where does all the fluid come from? That's what I want to know. Is that interstitial stuff? Because
Pepsi. It's Pepsi.
I know it's Pepsi. I don't feel dehydrated afterwards. Such a whore I am. Every time I see coconut water at the store, I just have flashbacks to
what you had to do to get through college, huh? And your knees start to hurt again.
I was just in Mama Fox. But
oh.
Yeah. Isn't that right, princess? No. Okay.
Are you gonna just tease that cigarette the whole day? Or are you gonna like that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't.
Like that poor cigarette's got. If cigarettes could get blue balls, they'd have it already.
Yeah. She's waiting to come. So.
One time I wanted to quit smoking. I did, but for a week I carried around a cigarette just like this. I never lit it. It was just the fact that it was there if I wanted it, and I didn't
quit
want
for
it.
A week.
No, it took me a week with that cigarette. Then I quit for 5 years.
Oh.
Then I got divorced and went back to the bar. So.
Oh. Yeah. Hey, Shelf Up Show. What do we got on the show today? Usual suspects. The undeniably beautiful Missy Mama Fox. The handsome,
scatterbrained,
witty, and sexually charged transplanted devil himself, John Trapp. And you guys know me, Jeffrey with a G. What's up? So what's going on, guys? Catch me up.
I saw Thor, Love and Thunder.
Thor.
It is the worst Marvel movie ever put out.
Oh, okay. Fantastic. Tell me why.
The story was terrible. The acting was terrible.
Wait, really?
Oh, it was. And I loved Ragnarok. And I really wanted to see it. Halfway through the movie, we're sitting in the theater. I turn to my wife. She turns to me and she goes, "This is fucking bad." And I'm like, "No, this is a bag of shit." It's just like, shh, because I was like, this is a bag of shit. I mean, there is no redeeming quality to this movie at all. It was, and I was looking forward to seeing it. So that broke my heart. And they can't beat you over the head enough about gay couples. They just can't do it.
In that movie?
They just they can't help themselves. And it's just, yeah. I mean, I don't want to ruin anything for anybody, but it's just like,
I'm never going to see it, so I don't care.
Well, the 2 people in our chat room, that's probably me and Jeff.
Spoiler. Hey, if you haven't seen Thor Ragnarok or whatever it's called.
No, Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder, then and you're going to and you give a shit, then plug your ears. Mommy and daddy are going to have sex real quick.
So the rock guy, Taka Wakawiki's character, Apparently, they're all male. So the only way they can have a rock baby is if two males hold their hands together in a volcano and have a baby.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I was just like,
Sounds
what?
erotic.
I'm like,
They couldn't have got any more interesting than that.
I went,
Holding hands.
Where does the
huh?
anal come in?
I was just like, what? And then of course the Valkyrie chick is a lesbian in it, so there's discussion about finding the love of her life, and it's just, I'm just like, and as I'm watching this, and this is going to sound so homophobic, but it's not. Again, best man at a gay wedding, but this is like a movie that kids are all going to, and you're not
Right.
expecting this, just like the Buzz Lightyear bullshit.
Right.
Like, I have no problems with that. Just, you would want to tell parents that are used to Toy Story, it's the right thing to do,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
they don't
you need to
change
have
the
that.
rating on that, on the movie. But if somebody got their fucking head cut off, they change the rating.
Of
So
course.
it would be a warning. Or if they cursed,
Right.
they would change the rating so there'd be a warning. So it's
Right.
different from what is normally out there. And again,
Well,
if
it
you
used to
want-
be it used to be any sort of sexual theme
right.
was a warning. It was a PG-13 or above on a theme.
Right.
So
And
anything
And
again, I don't have a problem with it in movies. I don't care. It doesn't
Right.
bother me. But when in the theater we were in, there's like 6 little kids in front of me.
right.
And it was
Well-
just like, well, that's a great conversation mom's got to have.
On the
And-
way home, yeah.
Yeah. And being that some of them were like 5, 6, and 7, she probably didn't have to have those conversations. So it was like, God damn, Disney, again, you just constantly, I don't know, somebody didn't hug you enough as a fucking kid, or, you didn't get presents at did Santa not give you the fucking Superman cape? That's a callback from another movie. I don't know if anybody knows that, but see what happened to Kevin Spacey when he didn't get his fucking Superman cape? Sorry. I think it's called Joe Claus. It's the one with Bart Giamatti, not Bart, that's his father, Paul Giamatti. Paul Giamatti's Santa Claus, and Vince Vaughn is his brother,
Yeah.
and he's got to help him out because he hurt himself.
Yeah.
So he becomes Santa for the year or whatever.
Yeah.
It's actually a great movie, which I never thought it would be. But the Inspector General, who basically sabotages Christmas, is Kevin Spacey. And the
Okay.
whole point of the story, he's a prick because when he was a little kid, he was on the naughty list. So he got a clump of coal
Yeah.
instead of the Superman cape. So I'm sorry that it took me that long to explain that, but it was a really good
He's been a
movie.
douche his whole life because he didn't get a Superman cape. I get it.
Yeah.
Tragic.
So, but anyway, it
Those-
was just, I don't get it. There's ratings for
The-
everything else.
The warning tags on movies, just honest to God, they crack me up now. Now I want to start a movie just to see what little tags
They
have.
warn about
I-
tobacco use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking they
Smoking.
warn
Yeah.
about tobacco
Right.
use.
They smoke a cigarette or
watched-
drink a cocktail. It's in there.
Right,
Yeah,
but
I'm
not if
watching a
there's a
movie now.
lesbian kiss.
Right.
I'm watching a movie now. It is about a wine company. So therefore there's going to be wine in the movie, correct? Like
Yeah.
that's a fair assumption.
One would hope.
Right.
The only tag on this movie is consumption.
Consumption of alcohol.
Doesn't even say alcohol. It just says consumption.
Oh,
I was
really?
like,
Oh, like the diet
Really?
consumption.
consumption. I was like,
I like that.
I will be right
nothing,
back.
nothing
My
else.
dog
Okay,
is
nothing
being
else.
a pain in my ass. I'll be right back.
Yeah, these little taglines now on the beginning of movies just fucking crack me up. Teen partying. Doesn't matter that it's just partying. We're gonna put in, tobacco, alcohol, illegal drugs, but now we're gonna also have to tag that teens are gonna do it. Because it's okay that adults do, even if it's illegal. I don't know. They're so stupid. So
Well,
many people are sue happy, and so everybody's worried about getting sued. That you've got to they've got to bubble wrap themselves. Sorry, rant
No,
done.
it's- don't. Sorry. The progressives, they need to make the abnormal normal, and they need to make the silly crime. If
Well,
you
I
can't-
just
fault,
don't. I
John.
I just don't get. I mean, I get it why they go after the kids, right? But I don't
Why?
know. I just, again, like you said, there's a warning about tobacco and consumption, but I don't know. Just it
You
it
got to
irks me.
normalize adult sexuality. You have to.
Yeah, but
It's called grooming.
correct. But I'm just saying, as somebody who tries not to look for that they're doing that, the common sense to me says it's not something for children. So why do it?
Yeah, well, common sense is no longer common. Common sense is poison that
No.
is created by cisgender,
It's hate. It's hate.
heteronormative, white, racist males who are full of toxic masculinity. And if it wasn't for us, the world would be a much better place. So to be rid of us is the
So
ultimate
damn
goal.
the man and save the empire.
Yeah.
It's also
Whatever the empire is.
I tell you, there's a few of us women in that boat with you guys because it's just stupid.
There is no empire. It's a fucking joke. It's a fucking joke. They're missing it. Here's the thing. There is no empire without toxic masculinity.
It's true. Who's going to keep everybody else in line?
There's no safety at your borders. There's no safety of property. There's no protecting you and your rights. There's no police force to come get the bad guys.
Hey,
There's
Jeff,
no-
you in town on Thursday?
State militia. Yeah.
Huh.
As far as I know. Yeah.
Trivia is going on at the Crown on Thursday. If you'd like to come and
What
participate,
kind of trivia? What are we gonna do?
we win at the Crown. Tank
Where's
Verde.
it going? Take a birdie. All right. Well, you're gonna have to probably text with me.
Oh, you mean like outside of the podcast? I'm gonna have to text you and like, oh, I have to groom
Yeah.
you.
Remind
I have to groom you to get you
I'm
to
gonna
go.
have to, yeah,
I'm gonna have to just go. You know what? You are a sexy fucking beast. Do you know that?
yeah.
And you know the fucking knowledge that you have that most humans that aren't robots have.
That
You
aren't
just you complete me.
No, you can
You
just tell
complete
me.
our trivia team.
Just tell me you're gonna buy me a couple of whiskeys. I'll be there.
Okay, I can do that. I'm not going to because now you make 3 times what I make. So no, you can buy me whiskeys. I think that's everybody at home agree.
Stacks on stacks. It's play money. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's not real money. I bought it for $8. I did. $8
How fucking ironic is that? Oh my
on
god.
the interwebs.
Jesus.
Somebody needs to take away his credit or debit card so he's not allowed to purchase shit online anymore. Granted, this is the guy who bought a Budweiser cardboard hat, but I'm just saying. I didn't do that. I did that in person, so it's different.
When I start buying props, and I think to myself,
Oh my god!
how will
Settle
this
down
prop
there, Carrot Top?
how will this prop play during a show, and then how will it play during my job? Like, is there an opportunity to utilize a prop in the course of my job since it's also remote?
So is it one piece? Or are they all pieces and taped together?
Nope, not even taped together. Just a band.
Oh,
Band, and they're all individuals.
okay. You know what you need to do? That's how you light your cigarettes and cigars. That is
Yeah.
absolutely how you do it.
People online were like, this they said that they keep some in their pocket and they give them to bums.
Oh,
That's just mean. That's mean.
My
No,
kids are
don't
like,
do that. That's
my kids
mean.
are, that's a federal crime. I'm like, no, it's not. It's only when they try and cash them. Lisa came over to pick up the kids on Monday, and she was like, damn, Stacks. I was like, oh yeah, I got my first paycheck. And she's like, can I have half? I'm like, you can have half of what you earned when you divorced me 5 years ago. And then she reached out and picked it up. And she's like, it's not real, is it? Is it? No, it's not. It's not. It looks real. She's
I
like,
would
"No, it's not
totally
real."
light cigars or a pipe or something with those for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to go.
That might be hard, but
Only if you touched it a bunch of times,
that-
Mama Fox. With
Um,
your hair down. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
Listen to you tonight. Have you you're not even drinking.
I haven't had a
This
drink.
is usually your only go-to when you're drunk.
I haven't drank since Friday.
What the fuck?
Nate,
Yeah.
I don't
Why?
like who you've become.
1, 2, 3, 4. Holy shit. This is the 5th day I haven't drank.
You're unpredictable. I think something's wrong. It's time for us to have an intervention.
John, you need to be shit faced more. Now, I was high as a kite last night, so that's okay, right?
Yeah, but I think that's different.
Yeah.
For some reason, alcohol is like
It was a long day. I took a piece of chocolate. I was laying on the couch. I am addicted to Blue Bloods right now, by the way. I don't know if
What?
anybody's seen that show, Blue Bloods with Tom
oh,
Selleck.
I haven't seen it. I know what it is though.
I am up to season 8. I watched season 7 in 2 days. There's 23 episodes. So let's just throw that out there. That's how much sleep I'm getting. Anyway, apparently it poured here yesterday. My wife's like, oh, mom said it rained. It did. I have no idea. No clue. Just be careful what color the flame is. So if it is a certain color, you should probably not do that. Oh, so you got to take a picture of that shit, son. And that's got to be your freaking you got to next time do it the other way. It's hard to see. It's 100. It's regular paper. Okay. But yeah, you got to have Benjamin on
That's
there.
a place to put it out.
Just eat it. It'll be fine.
Don't drop it on the
Yeah,
carpet.
just keep it that way. Don't turn it upside. Oh yeah. Oh, see, that would be good. Oh,
There you go.
that's good.
Now you can go in and clip that section.
Welcome to the Shelf Up Show. Turns out didn't need all.
I love my cigarettes with $100 bills.
Turns out that y'all following me on
He appreciates all the
Prime Gaming was not gonna make a difference.
he appreciates all your donations.
I'm gonna
I
have all
re-upped
these,
mine.
I'm gonna have these half burned $100 bills just in the ashtray.
And
I
just
still
go
get-
and just go and get some flour and just put it in there too. Just a little bit of flour or sugar or whatever. I don't really know what cocaine looks like in
powdered
real
sugar.
life. So I think it's
Powder-
probably
Well,
powdered
you can,
sugar.
Powdered sugar.
Inositol
Powdered
works
sugar.
best actually. If you're gonna cut it. Inositol, you can get it at any head shop. Inositol powder.
Right, but if you don't want to buy something special, powdered
Yeah.
sugar will look like it.
Yeah. You're like, this is
I'm gonna
my
get a scale and some baggies. If I'm gonna,
I took my mom there. We have this little store. It says Simon's $1 and up store, and it's just whatever it is. It's just this little catch-all store, and they buy whatever. So it's just cheap stuff, kind of like a dollar store, but there's a
dime
few
and dime,
things
yeah.
more. But at the front, they had so I bought butane, a big ass bottle of butane for $3. Amazing, that was worth it. But they have
I just picked this up tonight.
jewelry. Yeah, they have jewelry. I paid $3.
It's the size of my fucking
They-
head.
They have jewelry and some higher end stuff, and then they have the pipe, the bongs on the shelf behind it. And my mom's standing there, and she's already paid. And then as I'm paying for my stuff, she obviously looked up behind the clerk, and she just standing there. And I went, "Mom, don't stare. Mom, don't stare. Quit staring." I had to bump her, like, move along. And then so she takes a step around the little bend in the counter, and I get done paying, and she goes, "Come here, come here, come here." So I walked over to her, and she points down to the bottom shelf, and it's in a box. It's just a little box, and it says kitchen scale, but it's surrounded with bongs. And she goes, "You don't think they really use that in the kitchen, do you?" I went, "Okay, you can't come back here with me, or I'm not coming in here with you anymore, because we're leaving now." And I'm like looking at the clerk. I'm like, "I'm sorry, she doesn't get out much." He was rolling. He kept calling me baby. "Hey, baby, finding everything okay, baby?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm gonna fucking throat punch you if you don't shut up."
Y'all, who's moving weight around here? I need to get a brick.
She had to come home and tell my dad they have this kitchen scale, but I don't think they use it as a kitchen scale. I'm like, Mom, you're not that naive. Shut up.
Right. Proper slang words if you're going to ask for drugs at a head shop. Where's Tina? Looking for Tina? Tina is meth.
Don't ask for Tina.
Or you can say, hey, where's the G? The G.
It's all about the grams.
The G. Another code word for meth is GAC. G.
Don't ask for that.
Everyone knows blow. So you got to be more subtle than that. They probably don't want to say things about skiing. People make skiing jokes. Hey, you want to go skiing this weekend? In the snow? Cocaine in the snow.
Yep.
Skiing. Now you can say how much for a ski lift ticket. I was thinking about getting what else can you say? Well, what are you looking for? Looking for a baseball game, basketball game, any kind of ball game is acceptable. Ball is an 8 ball, which is 7 grams, 3.5 grams, 3.5 grams. 3.5 grams of cocaine is an 1/8 of an ounce, called an 8 ball. Looking for a t-shirt
to the ball games.
T-shirts and ball games. T-shirts is 1.75. It's a 1/10 of a gram or 1/10 of an ounce. So you go like 1/10 or a teener, and then a 8 ball, and then you go for a quarter. Quarters above an 8 because it's a 1/4 ounce. An ounce is 28 grams, right? 28 grams in an ounce. You have to know some of the smartest people I've ever met in my life are scientists. And then second to that would be drug dealers.
Yeah. My brothers can do math with that so fast, but only in the correlations of how much they used to sell for. Like, because everything has a set price. And so then they could take those and blah, 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 however many times, they were faster than me. And I'd be like, dude, but then I found out, like, if you switch up, if you add 3, like if it's 20 and you say, so like if they're used to dealing with $20 sets, and then you say, well, what's 20 times blah, blah, they got it. You say, what's 23 times blah, blah, they're like, oh, hold on. I'm like, no.
Right. Yeah.
You're not that good at math. You're just good at your math.
Right. If you worked at Pizza Hut long enough and you knew what the taxes were, and you know that you were always selling 2 pizzas for $10.99, which was $11.78 after taxes, you also knew how to make change with that. But didn't mean you were, just because you made change the whole fucking day on $11.78.
Yeah.
Didn't mean you were a math genius. Just repetition.
I went into 7-Eleven the other day, and I was behind a lady, and one guy when I came in, he went out and stood in front to have a cigarette. And so he wasn't even like a young kid. I can't even say like, give him a break. He was not a young kid. He was not quite my age, but probably mid-30s or so.
Right.
And it was $9.91 was her total. And she gave him a $20 bill. And whatever he pushed on the register didn't tell him the change.
10.09 is hard.
And he couldn't figure it out, but I wasn't really paying attention at first, so I didn't know what was taking so long. And so somebody else is coming in the door, a customer, and he yells at that person to yell at the guy having the cigarette on the sidewalk. And she's like, hey, he needs you. And when he comes in, and then I realized what's going on, I went, it's 10:09. And the guy goes, what? I go, 10:09 is the change. He goes, it's 9:90. I go, I know, it's 10:09. And the older guy goes back and he goes, what's wrong? He goes, it didn't tell me change. And he looks at it and he looks at the 20s and he goes, it's 10:09. Like, oh my God. I'm so done. Society sucks.
It's a whole generation of people can only do what the screen tells them.
Yeah.
So people are useless. They're only keeping people employed because we're not ready for robots.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
That's why I need you on Thursday night for trivia, Jeff.
Robots are smarter than me.
But he can't take a robot because we're not ready for him yet.
Yeah, they don't serve droids.
We don't serve your kind here. Droids. Anyway,
Yeah, 'cause-
outside.
Yeah, because Luke was like, white guys with blonde hair? What?
Right. These all Aryans?
So
Damn,
strange.
another anti-Aryan pub. It's a cantina. Sorry. You'll be dead. Atomic Dork Squad on Sundays. Where there's all sorts of quoting of shit. Mainly Star Wars and 80s trivia.
Which every time, it doesn't matter what day, even today, the notification I get when we go live, it says Saturday, whatever you have on there for Saturday every time. I'm like, it's not Saturday.
It always says Saturday.
It always does. Yep. Like for 2 weeks now, it's all it says.
It's strange.
Add a little spice to your life with the Pepper Boys, habanero, poblano, and dragon's breath. 3-part Himalayan rats available now for adoption at the Lowell Humane Society.
Look at the
Shelter
size of
volunteer
balls on them.
coordinator Marie
Yeah,
Bilargi
the one with, like-
explains why these intelligent creatures make such wonderful pets.
These are the Pepper Boys. We have habanero, poblano, and dragon's breath. These are just 3 of the available rats at Lowell Humane Society right now. These guys came into us because their previous owner kind of got a little over her head when breeding her rats. She had mom in with a boy, and you know what happens after that.
Fucking babies.
Rats make excellent pets. We do get kind of a lot of
I have 7 pups right now.
ew, rats, when people hear that we have rats available. But they make really excellent pets because they're very intelligent, they're very sweet, and they're very social. They want to be around people. I mean, as you can see, I'm juggling 3 rats right now, and they're all doing great. These boys have been with the shelter for a couple of weeks now. Excuse you. And they're very curious, very adventurous. The fun things about rats is that they really like to spend time with their humans. They're inquisitive, they're smart. You can teach them how to do tricks and things like that. There are even people that do rat agility. The really fun thing about these guys is while they're, a little bit on the plainer coloration right at the moment, there is possibility that they're going to get even prettier as they get older. They are part Himalayan rat, which basically means that they're going to develop, or potentially could develop, tips almost like a Siamese cat. Right now, this one guy, if you see his little face, he has a little brown spot on his nose. It's possible it'll stay like that, or it's entirely possible that it's going to get a lot more chocolatey. Rats are my personal favorite small pet. I like them more than guinea pigs, more than rabbits, more than hamsters. They're just awesome little guys.
If you think you'd like to provide the Pepper Boys with their forever home, or would like more information on donating to or volunteering at the Lowell Humane Society, visit them Tuesday through Sunday at 951 Broadway Street in Lowell, or go to lowellhumanesociety.org. Call 978-452-7781.
All right. So we got a sponsor tonight, the Lowell Humane Society. They want you to adopt their rats.
That was interesting. It was random. I was like, what? Lowell? I was like, in Massachusetts? Like, when she kept saying, I'm like, in Massachusetts? And then it came out that it was.
I found that video on an Internet Archive. I don't recall why I was looking at rat videos. Oh, maybe because I own 30 of them. That could be it. Yeah. 30.
So
Yeah.
instead of a cat lady, you're a rat dude.
Rat dude. Yeah. Didn't expect to be. There's a couple litters. Hannah did not do a good job of separating everybody.
Boy, does she have an oral fixation or what? She goes right from a cigarette to a straw. Jesus Christ.
We got a mama with 7 pups in one cage. There's another mama she's in the girl cage. She was pregnant when she got thrown in there. Her brothers raped her. I don't know how many she has. I don't know.
How do you say stepbro and rat? It's like,
What are you
stepbro.
doing? This
That's
is
all
how
he
I
heard for days. He couldn't figure out what it meant.
this is how I know that there's a female in the male cage. Is I start hearing that pervasive like that I give up squeak, high pitched squeal, and I'm like, someone's getting raped. When it's a male getting raped, they're noisier about it. They scream. But so when there's a female in there, they don't consider it rape. They just consider getting some. She doesn't necessarily. So I poked my head down there today and I'm like, somebody down here, I think is female, who's getting stooped. And then I saw her. I said, oh, look at you. I'm going to have to flush you down the toilet. She's small.
Just hit her with a small shovel. Probably a spoon will do it.
Well, I have a BB gun that looks like a Glock that I purchased because there is that one rat that he's now full grown who lives behind my fridge. He's eaten the poison and he won't die. He has licked the poison off the snap or licked the peanut butter off the snap trap and avoided that. So now I have a CO2 BB pistol, semi-automatic.
Do you see how he got in the money and the gun already?
Yep.
I mean,
Oh,
it was.
yes, he's good.
Yeah, I mean,
we vetoed it,
it's
and
got-
he still
it's gotta-
got it in.
Do you find any joy, or like was it like, ha ha, I'm so smart?
What are you talking about?
I don't know.
I got this because I have a butterfly net with an extended handle, and I've tried to trap him, but he's so quick. I haven't been able to trap him. So I figured I will shoot him and kill him.
He's that quick, but you think you're going to shoot him. Okay.
You know what? Let's see if I can get him to come out. Oh, I put a box to protect the other rats in front of their cage because he comes around the corner and then goes behind their cage. Okay, you guys ready? We're gonna wait for him.
What are you looking for, John?
I was petting my dog.
Oh,
I
are
wanna
you
just-
looking for the rat? The screens aren't connected.
I want to just fire this little BB.
If it was, I
pistol.
would have already went like this.
You just want to fire the gun. That's all. You just want to fire.
450 feet per second indoors, ricochet off of walls. Between 30 rats, I have a feeling it's going to hit one of them. What do you think? Seems like a risky shot. I'm willing to take it. I like the way you mock me.
You like the way what?
You mock me.
Where was the mocking?
You're so proud of yourself. You had a kind of thing.
We hurt his feelings.
No, it's like, John, do you want to do this, this, or this? I want to do this. Okay, let's do this one. You know, it's the same thing. It's
Did
just
you
the
say-
same thing.
Did you come with topics? I thought you forgot them.
That was me.
I didn't say anything.
I said I
about
forgot topics.
Yeah, I didn't say anything about topics. I just said the time was good. That's all I said. Then you asked me what's going on. I told you like fucking 4 stories already. I didn't hear you fucking tell anything except about shooting rats. Gave you a good idea about light and money. I think I'm getting abused here, and I don't think I should be abused. I'm just saying.
Lighty money was your idea.
I know. I gave you that idea.
I feel like I should referee, and I kind of just don't want to.
Howdy.
Oh my!
Outstanding. Outstanding.
Ooh, I gotta say, my heart just kind of did a little triple beat there for a second. It
It's
got
because you're
me.
jumpy.
I know.
dead.
I'm very.
I'm dead,
jumpy.
man. Dad man.
Dad-
My name is Jeff.
My name's Jeff. My name's Jeff.
So We couldn't get the avatars to work, so is this the backup plan? I guess.
Yeah, I'm white trash cowboy hat guy. He's
I'm
he's-
Fat Man.
He's Fat Man, okay, and you're the lion's mane, the lioness.
Yeah.
We'll call you the
recorded-
lioness.
I recorded myself driving my car last night. I was sweating. It was so fucking hot. But
Figured he'd be used to leather by now. Just weird. That
Uh.
doesn't even cover your mouth with the zipper like the other thing.
what? Not bad for
Uh-oh. Where'd you buy that online?
cosplay cowl. It was Amazon set $18. It's not bad.
Was today Prime Day? Today and tomorrow?
Have another option.
You know, I've never seen that movie.
Neither have I.
Huh.
But if we want
What
to do
is it?
some conspiracy theory, I think I should have ordered each of you a mask actually, because then we can go into conspiracy theory and we'll just wear a mask and we'll talk about Bigfoot and
Why is Bigfoot a conspiracy?
because it's not proven. And it's what does conspiracy mean? It means con means with, piracy means
Outproof.
with.
I don't think I want to be a part of this show anymore. Wow. Bigfoot
Yeah,
is
he's
a
gonna turn-
conspiracy. All right.
I'm gonna turn his camera off and pout.
Oh, stop being a crybaby.
Wow. Conspiracy. My whole life's a lie.
Synthesia.
Fuck. So everybody is now talking about the your liberal world market there, liberal world order.
Cost
Yeah.
plus liberal world market. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever that is.
Good beers.
But Ruben's been talking about it. So is Shapiro. They all been talking about it. So it's very
Well,
interesting.
What is their take? I haven't been watching.
Well, it's just that they're saying now things that people used to say in their head, now they're saying out loud, and just weird. So I none of it's gonna so I guess we really can't worry about 24. We just can't worry about 24 because honestly, we don't need him in office in 24. We just need complete control of the other two things. So because if he runs, he's gonna lose. They're gonna figure something out. They'll get him somehow. They absolutely will. And I don't think DeSantis is going to run. I wish he would, but he's not going to. And let Dan Crenshaw be his VP. That would be outstanding.
Why do you think that is not going to happen?
Because I think DeSantis knows it's good for the party not to run against Trump.
Probably.
It'll divide. It'll divide the GOP.
Yeah. It's like putting Perot on the ticket, right?
This would be way worse, because you have a cross section of people that are Trump disciples.
Yep.
And
It's a large amount.
It is. I think it's a lot larger than people think, and DeSantis could get registered Democrats to vote for him. He could. I really think he could.
DeSantis he could sway the middle. He could sway.
I think he could, especially libertarians. I think they're all. I think they genuinely like him.
Mhm.
And I'm saying that living in Arizona, and I know how the East Coast, anybody who's conservative or has a brain in their head on the East Coast, they think DeSantis is a pretty good guy. So I think it would be now the Democrats are praying for it. Oh my God, they are praying that it'll be DeSantis versus Trump because they'll kill each other in the primary. They'll absolutely kill each other. So I don't know. Uh-oh. Oh, you went and bought it. Jesus Christ.
So
I was wanting to ask, but not wanting to ask.
I made a debrief for my bosses for Monday morning.
Hi, team. I am Anna, Jeffrey's virtual assistant. That's right. Don't be jealous. I am not very useful. I can share thoughts, ideas and plans. Teach e-learning courses and whatnot. What I can't do is write code to make an IVR work correctly. I'm so sorry. He's working on it for goodness sake. Monday morning, June 27th, the first operational day after our 13 rollout. Upon opening, there were immediate reports that digital engagement was failing. Jeffrey and IT started to triage the failures right away. There were two chief concerns. After diagnosing the digital engagement failure and making a plan for handling softphone overrides, this was reported to 5/9 cases, and both the technical and general account managers. Day 1, it took 5 hours to get a tech on the phone to start running logs. We questioned the rollout as causal and were told there is no way, by our TAM and technician. By the end of
She's
day
so
4,
smart.
the technician confided that this was likely a rollout error. They had seen this exact problem happen many, many times. Jeffrey addressed with his TAM and asked to be rolled back right away. He was told it was impossible. By day 5, Friday, it was decided to roll back the changes immediately. Wait a second. Do you mean that we stopped our ability to function with our students, prospects and clients for more than a week and it was totally avoidable? Weird. Thank you for watching. And please reach us if you have any questions.
One last thing, guys. Jeffrey needs a per diem for Uber Eats. $20 should cover it. Where should he submit his receipts for reimbursement? By the way, he says you've both been more nice than naughty. I'll remember that in December. Ho ho ho.
Santa Claus tried to pitch me a $20 per diem for lunch. They
Did it
haven't,
work?
not yet.
Oh. So did you really give that to them?
Yeah, to my bosses. Yeah, the president of admissions and yeah, why?
I was just asking.
I made it, and it was about the work week. It was about the crap we had. Yeah, she's a little sarcastic though, and I appreciate that she takes that tone and not I, because I am the professional. I would not want to be caught saying things like, wait a minute, do you mean that this was all avoidable and you just lied to us for a week, took our business down? And weird. I'm not a sarcastic person, so I'm glad that she took the tone, because then it insulates me. I was going to put a black man asking for money instead of Santa Claus, but I don't know them that well, so I didn't want it to seem weird. And I work with a lot of black people, because I forget, like, unlike Arizona, places like North Carolina, South Carolina, any other state, basically Texas, there are a lot of black people, and it's just normal. It's abnormal to live in a state where there's 6% African American people or black people. It's a very small representation here. Because I mean, after like the 9th person, I was like, dang, you're more black people than I've known my entire life now.
You lived in California. How's that
I'm
possible?
joking. I had IT on. IT and I were trying to fix something. He's African American, and I meant to have my background blurry, and I had stars and bars over my shoulder, and then duck. And he's like, "Hey, you don't have to censor yourself when it's just two of us, so you know." I'm like, "Oh, I'm not. I'm polite all the time." And he says, yeah. And he goes, "I'm not progressive, in case you wanted to know." I was like, "I wasn't asking. It's not appropriate because it's work." He goes, "God bless America, sir." I'm like, "That's right, sir." I said, "Sorry about that. I should have that on blur. It's against company policy, I think. I didn't want to offend anybody." So
Is that true?
yeah, they say, like, your background should not be a distraction. So then I moved everything over a little bit, and I was like, so anyway, I just made sure that wasn't you. Anyway, so what are we gonna do about this? He goes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's right. I was like, oh, I made a new friend. I was like, they were right. You people do like Trump. I think that was the appropriate way to say that. No, I don't want to insult anyone. I didn't want to act like I was speaking for the whole race, so I just wanted to make sure he was, because he's black, not me. So makes sense. I know how to do this. Anywho.
I blame myself.
So then
I
we
do.
met with his
I
boss.
blame myself because I said that we don't serve your kind, and I said a white guy with blonde hair. So I planted the seed in his brain. It's my fault. It's my fault.
No, I'm always inappropriate.
I wanted to make a comment on the actual presentation, not the content or what happened around it. In the beginning, I don't know if I just didn't notice it, but it seemed okay. But as it went further through, it almost seemed like there was a delay between what I was hearing and the movement of the mouth. It was like there was a slight hitch in the timing, and I don't know if
it was
so.
probably.
Then I was paying more attention, and I noticed it more.
I think it did start to slow down a little bit, like on Santa, for sure.
Yeah, and Santa got real worse. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's just because I'm broadcasting it, and so it winds up slowing down.
Okay.
If played by itself with a computer that had more than 1 gigabyte of RAM and wasn't being used for streaming, yeah, no, it's solid.
Right. All right. I just noticed it.
There's a ton of avatars that you can get, and a lot of options.
Yeah, we went through it last week.
I remember.
Yep.
I don't need you to mock me.
Shut up, John. I wasn't mocking you. I was just reminding you. And sometimes we forget.
What is it with you and mocking today? What's going? Is that the word of the day? Is that Pee-wee's Playhouse word of the day?
The word today is mock. M-O-C-K. Brought to you by the letters M, O, C, and K. The color green. The pronoun go fuck yourself.
So angry.
Sunny days. Jordan Peterson, this just in. Jordan Peterson joins Daily Wire Plus. What do you guys think? Daily Wire is part of Ben Shapiro's. What's wrong with your face?
Nothing. Nothing. We talked about this last time. I brought it up.
We talked. Well, I
see why we try to gently remind you of things.
So,
wasn't very gentle.
So I may be a mocker, sir. Sir, I may be a mocker, but you're a non-pay attentioner. Okay. God damn it. There were two things that I wanted to bring up last time. One was Jordan Peterson. I can't remember what the other thing was. For the life of me, I can't remember.
That just made that. Oh my God.
I can't remember what the other thing was. It's Jordan Peterson. And I fucking can't remember what the other thing was. God damn it. Shit.
Oh my God. Oh. Okay, I needed a good laugh. I've had some giggles today, but I needed a good laugh. So
what makes a man desirable?
So I think it hurts him, actually. I think it hurts him. Because because now he's in an echo chamber. And before he wasn't. Before he could actually say things and sway other people's opinions and minds to, especially with the way that he speaks, but now he's only going to be talking to libertarians and conservatives. So
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, you asked for our opinion, and that was mine.
You could be right.
Folks, it's getting
You
deep
could
in here, I'm
be
just saying.
right. I may be crazy, but it may be a lunatic you're looking for.
So I would probably have the same concern, and that was when you brought it up last time we talked. I thought he's selling out, or he's
Oh.
he's gonna limit himself.
That's what I'm concerned with.
And that's a voice like his shouldn't be hampered by just here's the ideologies that subscribe to this channel.
You don't think Joe Rogan's taking a hit?
I don't. He's taking a hit, yes.
Okay, and what I mean is, the same people listen to Joe Rogan still listen to Joe Rogan. That's
Right.
But being that it's not like the YouTube videos aren't there as much as they were, or the clips aren't other places as much, I feel like they put him in a box. And unfortunately to me, I feel, and Peterson obviously has probably more of an international flair than Rogan does, I would think. But I just, it frightens me.
Reruns and clips for Rogan are still on all over YouTube, and they get a ton of views. I think what's probably got the blinders on for those of us who don't have an unlimited amount of time to dedicate is when we catch them on Spotify, and then we're like, well, you can go forward or backwards in Spotify depending on where you started, and that's about it. And then you don't, and there's nothing else video wise on Spotify except for Joe. He's the only video show, which is odd. So it feels limiting in that regards, and he has, because he's acquiesced and changed his perspective and apologized for things. But I don't think he's changed his position. I don't think it's damaged him to the point where he's changed his positions.
Well, he can't separate himself from Trump enough, huh?
Oh, he doesn't want anything to do with that guy.
No, doesn't. I think he's got the derangement syndrome too.
He's so afraid to be lumped in with him.
Yep.
That he won't even talk to him.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Could you imagine the ratings?
Oh, jeez.
If basically Rogan said to Trump, the only way we're going to do this is 3 hours, you, me, bottle of whiskey, smoke a cigar, whatever. You cannot know anything beforehand. Nothing's off the table. And Trump would say yes immediately.
Right. And I mean, aside from national security issues that you can't talk about.
Right. I mean, because he would have, and people would understand that if he,
it can't be the Trump talking point show though.
Right.
It can't be. If you start talking in cliches and sound bites, we're not having.
You know what though? The way he handles Nugent is worse than Trump.
Nugent is all sound bites, isn't he?
Right. And I think he gets him to actually have legitimate conversations.
Yes.
So I would not be afraid of that. I think it would be a really good interview. I just think that Rogan's a little bitch about it. I really do. He doesn't want, which drives me crazy because he's had on these other people.
Right.
And, and nobody, well, I guess people think that Rogan likes, who the hell did he have on?
Alex?
No, he had Bernie on.
Bernie Sanders. He did like Bernie.
Right. He voted for him one time. But I don't know. I'm sorry. He's got the derangement syndrome. He's terrified.
I don't think he needs to be afraid of Trump. I think what he's afraid of is that he's been acknowledging how far left the left has gone and how they've left him they've left him center right. And he never has been. He's like, I'm a bleeding heart liberal, libertarian, peace, love, chicken grease. He goes, I'm for a lot of things that even liberals aren't for. And I always have been. But they've gone so insane that now I'm standing here looking like I'm a Republican.
And if you had him on, it would seal the deal.
It would. Well, it's like having Larry Elder on. Talk to Larry Elder for an hour and walk away and try not to be conservative.
Right.
I finally watched the Dave Rubin, Larry Elder conversation. I finally watched it the other day. Yeah.
The original one?
The original one from like
where Elder schooled Rubin basically.
Yeah.
And made him change. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, here's a list, and Rubin did a good job. He starts off with like, let's define what conservative? Let's start off with the definition and let's have a conversation. And what everything Elder said was like, get the government out of everything. They should not be running anything. He goes, I believe in, what was it? Section 1 through 7 of the Constitution. They should have limited authority, limited power. They should take care of those things. For everything else, get out. Like, get out. It's not up to you to tell us what to do. Which makes it's funny because what people think is what people would attribute probably anarchism. They would, if you didn't know Larry Elder was conservative, you might think he was an anarchist,
Right.
or even a libertarian more than anything, because he's like, you can't tell me what to do. That's anarchism. You do not have the moral authority to dictate how I live my life, period. And that's very much like Michael Malice. I love Michael Malice. You know Michael Malice?
The name is familiar, but I'm not sure.
There's two people I want to introduce you guys to tonight that would make me happy. Jordan's always been there. Jordan's been on my peripheral since 2017. Michael Malice, Lex Friedman. Do you know who Lex Friedman is?
No.
Okay, so three people.
Michael Malice is not the one who did What's a Woman, right?
No, that's the guy from Daily Wire.
Yeah,
the other guy. Michael Malice is,
because Michael Malice is on the Daily Wire too, isn't he?
I don't know. He might be. He's technically not a conservative. He is an anarchist. He's a Russian immigrant. He immigrated with his folks when he was a kid. He's been on Joe Rogan. He's been on all the podcasts. He moved to Austin from New York City. He's a New York City Jew who wound up in Austin because of Joe Rogan. And then is like, where has this been my whole life? This is so much better. He is quick. He is witty. He's funny. I love the fact that he has a worldview and he has a perspective, and he doesn't bend.
Yeah,
he doesn't.
He's on podcast one. He's not on Daily Wire.
Okay, I didn't think he had signed over his stuff.
And he's Ukrainian.
Lex Friedman.
This episode is brought to you by St. Jude.
He's also, let me see. I don't want this. Let's find a stream. YouTube. YouTube. Michael Malice. Plus Malice is a cool name. I can always appreciate somebody. At first, I wasn't sure if I liked him, but then as I started to pay attention, I thought, here's somebody who has a defined point of view, who's not going to give in, and he's just going to own it. And how can you not enjoy it? Let's see. Find a clip. I haven't pre-scrubbed these clips, so
I'm making this quick video because it has been 1 month since joining the Cashflow 101 system, and so what I want to do is make this video to show you the results that I've gotten in my first month joining the system. And so,
what do you think is the hardest question or the most difficult issue for an anarchist society to try and overcome?
What do you do about the kids? Because if you don't have a state and kids are basically under the dominion of their parents, how are you going to resolve cases, which there are no shortage of, when parents are bad actors toward their children? That is a tough one. And that's a tough one under any scenario. That's the thing. One of the big issues in terms of people attacking anarchism, which is, of course, is their prerogative, is they'll say, well, anarchism is bad because it's going to lead to war. I'm like, wait. The system you're advocating doesn't lead to war, so you can't have this kind of double standard. So this is a criticism. It's like, okay, you're not going to have child protective services possibly, or maybe you would in a private sense, like you have an apartment complex, and I don't know how they would resolve it. The point is, it's horrible now. Like the foster kid system, like many kids are, subject to abuse, and it's certainly less than ideal. So that's a good, tough question, and I do not have a good answer. But I don't think any system that's been posited has had a good answer.
And that's because typically there's an agent within an anarchist society that kind of opts in to some of the services which then get used. But in a situation where the only legal agent is the bad actor themselves, and you have a dependent that requires somebody to step in, you have this vacuum which is not being filled by something.
Correct.
Yeah, that is a nasty situation.
Yeah, and it's just nasty in general.
I don't know, man. I mean, that's an ugly one. What about if a country went to war with another country? I know this is in the second half of one of the essays that I looked at. Yeah.
Well, first of all, it wouldn't be another country, it'd be like an anarchist area. But we already see examples of this in the past, which is this is hilarious, which is a criticism of anarchism, that like if you get help from a state, it's not anarchism at all. It's like, well, if someone mails me food, that doesn't make them the government. They're just someone who's providing a service, right? So as of right now, like literally today, I, as a private company, can hire the U.S. government to provide security for me. This in no sense makes them my government any more than hiring a chauffeur is the one who's my chauffeur. They're the ones taking orders, not giving them. So there are many countries on earth already. The argument is, well, if the U.S. went anarchist, they'd be invaded tomorrow by China. Well, why isn't the U.S. invading Canada by this logic? Why isn't the Vatican being invaded by Italy, or Monaco by France? There's many examples of countries on earth right now that do not have any military whatsoever and can easily be overrun. So there are bigger governments, but no one is saying, or I'm certainly not saying, that for anarchism to be considered successful, it has to be worldwide.
Can you pause that?
There's no reason why,
that's like asking, well, if an apple gives me a lot of juice, why can't I make apple juice all the time? Well, if you notice, these oranges over here, they're not made into juice all the time. That was a really bad retort to that. So anarchy means that there is no government, not that there's not a big military. So for him to use Canada as an example, first of all, Canada has diplomatic ties to multiple countries, and that's the reason why people don't invade Canada.
Right.
So
that was his point. They don't have a large freestanding army, but nobody messes with them. That was his point.
No, but he said no, but he's no, but they're not an anarchy.
No, he wasn't saying they were.
So, but it's two different things completely. If you're an anarchist, right, you have no ties to other countries.
No, that's not true.
That's
if you're an anarchist, you don't have a country that runs you.
Okay, but if somebody does invade no, that's the opposite though. So if you don't have the people in the government to run your country, to create diplomatic relationships with other countries, that's what prevents Japan from being overrun. Is they have diplomatic ties to the U.S. and to the UK to prevent people from taking over because they don't have a small army. I mean, they have a small army. So you would still have to have a government structure to have those relationships with other countries. What would be your tie? That's my point. I understand that they don't have a big army. I totally get that.
Right.
But they have diplomatic ties at the highest level in government.
He wasn't saying that they're anarchists, because they're not.
No, I understand that. He had said if we were anarchists,
forge relationships otherwise, regardless of
who forms those.
Their military might. The people?
No, it's not possible. You think
possible?
You think a group of individuals that don't have a centralized voice that is running whether you want to call it a region, a country, a state, would
Right.
have the ability.
Well-regulated
of-
militias. It doesn't mean you don't have police forces. It doesn't mean you don't have.
No,
armies.
but I'm talking about the diplomatic ties to other countries.
Mhm.
If you are run in an anarchist-based society,
Mhm.
there is no voice that speaks for all. So there is no way to get those relationships with other countries. That's why Japan doesn't get invaded, is because that's why China hasn't invaded them, because of the diplomatic ties to other superpowers. They don't have a big, and I'm not saying Japan
They have
is
nukes.
anarchy. They have hardly any, but that was the deal they signed with the devil, right? Is that we're going to come back in, we're going to rebuild you, but you're not having an army ever. That's
Right.
how it works.
Right.
So Canada, very similar, where they don't have the population, they don't have the army. They do have an army, they just don't have one of substantial.
The Royal Canadian Mounted Police, eh?
Well, horses can stomp, but I'm just saying, I think without a centralized voice, how do you make diplomatic ties to other nations that aren't, or even if they are anarchists? How do you do? There has to be some sort of structure. There has to be for open communication. Okay. Hi, this is Joe down on 7th Street. Hey, England, we really could use your help, right? I mean, there has to be some kind of
there is structure. There's organizational structure, is business, it's commerce, it's industry, it's the mouthpiece that already acts on behalf of the government now. You just have the government as the mouthpiece for those who make all the money and have all the influence. We act like we have elected officials, and we act like we have a government of the representative government of the people. We act like that we're a constitutional republic, but yet you have people in positions of power who didn't actually officially legally get elected to it, and then you have a deep state that's been running everything behind the scenes anyways, that aren't elected, they're appointed.
I'm not arguing any of those facts.
What's specifically different
is that there is no centralized based communication.
All he's saying
to
is
another government.
Anarchism is just saying that you don't have a representative government that speaks for you.
Okay, so there would still be government then. No, right?
There would be industry.
Okay.
There would be commerce. There
okay.
would be what already the power structure is.
So let's not look at this through a cynical glass for a second. We're saying,
I think I was being cynical.
No.
I'm not an anarchist either.
I was not attacking you. I was attacking what he said.
Right, I know.
Okay. So what I was then going to bring up was that, let's say the people that represent the people that voted them or they got in or whatever, there still is that centralized voice to another country in times of need, in times of help, in times of disaster, that if it's purely based on commerce and purely based on business, then it's not going to be, hey, save my country as a whole, but make sure you're protecting my assets. Like that happens in Saudi Arabia with the oil fields and stuff. I would think that you would still need some sort of structure if you're not going to have, and militias, absolutely, militias will be great for the areas that the militias are in. Mm-hmm. And even then, an organized government with tactical training and equipment and all that would take out a militia in a heartbeat. They would actually probably never even send anybody but drones. But I'm just saying, it just, to me, his argument was false because he used countries that have small armies as an example of, hey, these places don't get invaded. Not that he was saying they were anarchy. He didn't say that.
Yeah.
But again, they have relationships with other countries that keep those other countries out. That was my point. So I don't think that I don't know. Okay.
Michael Malice. I guarantee he'll make you think. You may not be able to process or may not believe or understand what he is saying. I can't follow it all the time. I really can't.
Wait a minute. So do you think I missed that point? Did you not feel that was the point he was making?
I think the point that you got animated about, which felt like it was more of an attack on his perspective of how he was trying to describe something.
But I thought that the example he used was an inaccurate way to explain that. So that's why I was asking. I was like, because the point he made was, well, nobody invades these countries,
small
that
unarmed
have
places, right? They don't get overrun.
Correct.
Because they have there's something innate in their strength, right?
Well, no, he never said that. He just said these places don't get invaded.
Well, guys, because I stopped it.
Oh, well, but he said they don't get invaded and they have small armies.
They have small or no armies at all. They don't
Correct.
get invaded. So how do you go to war if you're an anarchist country? If the US became anarchist, how do you go to war? And he was saying, here are examples of places that still have a semblance of either power or respect, that don't get overrun, who don't have freestanding armies in the first place.
Right. And my point was the
As an
reason
example, that is not just about your army. I think that's what he was trying to say.
Right. But there's a centralized government that has relationships with other governments that protect that from happening. That was my point. So that's why I thought the example he used, I thought was not a good one. I just didn't think that was valid. That was like apples and oranges. I just didn't think that. And that's why I question with you.
If we don't have any anarchist countries to make a comparison to, and he's just saying, I ascribe to the ideals of anarchism and think that we, the people, as individuals and or collectives, would do a better job than the elected governments have ever done, period. We don't need them. Get rid of them. Those have never, tyranny has never not existed. Governmental control has basically never not existed. I think anarchism is a ideal.
Well, I think tyranny would happen even more like it does in Afghanistan, where tribes, whoever's got the biggest weapons, whoever's got the most firepower, it's human nature, is going to control the most. So I think tyranny would probably be even worse.
Or I think tyranny in those regards are not necessarily worse, but when you find the examples, they seem more overt, because when it's done at a higher level with more people involved and more entities, it's much easier to cover up, hide, protect, diffuse the level of tyranny and abuse that people are actually going through. It's really easy to see one tribe invade another tribe and, take their women. When you're as big as the United States and you have the influence in the world that we do, and you have control of the press and the information and how it's delivered, I think the tyranny is worse on that level, but they're able to control the message a lot better. I think we're just as evil on a global scale as any ISIS group on a local scale. We just make it seem like it's better. We got Don Lemon to tell lies about what's really going on. I don't see how anarchism could ever work. How do you organize a non-organization? How do you collapse a government structure and just walk away from it and say, I trust that the people, without electing others to speak on their behalf, we'll work it out. If you want to hire, I don't see it personally. I don't get it.
No, and that's exactly what the same concept that I was trying to say about the whole liberal world order.
Yeah.
There, people just in the US alone are so different that, people on that side of the street are gonna are acting different, and because they believe different than people on this side of the street. So therefore, when they do something, they're aghast by it. They want to take action. Well, there's no police order, right? So because there's no government, so there's no police to step in and say, break it up, break it up. So you're just, well, not in the sense of
what, if there would be police that were voted on by the people?
No, they're not voted. The liberal world order.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the anarchists.
no, but I'm saying the anarchists.
Oh,
With the anarchists.
But
So,
if
right,
it's
so if you're
anarchist,
going,
then
what I'm
you
saying
have,
is,
you have people who work for you. You don't work for them. That's the point of anarchism, is that it doesn't take away structure. It takes away who's in charge of the structure. So police force, you can hire a police force to protect you. Neighborhoods can hire the police force to protect neighbor cities.
and what about people?
but what laws? What laws can they force?
What laws will they enforce?
Right. Well, that's what I mean. If it's an anarchist state, how could there be?
You're your own. You follow your own laws in an anarchist state. You follow your own laws. You are your own individual law-abiding citizen because you're following your own laws.
There's no government who describes or tells you what it is that you must do. However, as it doesn't mean that you don't have a collective. It doesn't mean that you don't have a neighborhood. It doesn't mean that you don't have a city. It doesn't mean that you don't have doesn't mean you don't have a state.
I forgot there was a show, right? And I can't remember what it was.
Those things can still exist, and moral code and even how you deal with even laws and punishment and how you deal with it can absolutely come about at the local level. He's not saying that there can't be.
Well, his own example of like the hardest part for an anarchic, I hate that word, anarchy society, would be like child protective, because you're not going to have a child protective service anymore. So who protects that child? The abuser is the protector of that child. If they're the parent, saying they're the parent that's abusing, right?
Right.
So there's not a police force that child can call and say, I'm getting hurt at home.
No, the child doesn't call them anyways. They get abused and they never say anything.
Jeffrey, stop tearing it apart. I'm trying to make a point. Some children do. Some children do. It is there, or other people can call for them.
Right.
He even said there would be no one to call for that. That parent, the abuser, is now the one that's.
He can't imagine. Like how do you replace that?
How do you fix that?
He goes, how do you replace it? Even though it's a failure. He's like, even though it's a failure, like he's saying, these are a couple of the hardest questions he can't answer.
So but that's what I'm trying to point out is you, and I was trying to agree with you, damn it, about the whole like, as a nation or as a world, we can be on a global level. We are just as bad as, like ISIS on a smaller level, because that's being highlighted on that small level. The African tribes, whatever it is, they're being highlighted on a small level. Whereas globally, it's being, filtered out, and you're only getting bits and pieces of it.
Right.
So I was trying to say with this side of the street and this side of the street, it can be just as brutal, as anything else. If it's highlighted, you're going to see the brutality. When it's filtered is when we don't see the brutality.
Right.
That was my point, and I don't know why it took me so long to get there. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not trying to defend him. I'm trying to understand him. It's like when I first started listening to Jordan Peterson, and I'm like, oh, morality, character, values. Okay, I need to start asking myself those questions. Who am I? What are my values? What do I want to leave behind? What do I use as a map between here and there? It's kind of like the same. Like I find people who have a unique voice. I'm like, I'm willing to listen to it. I don't understand it. I don't understand Michael Malice. I think I find him in that Flash. I don't think you can find anything charming about him, but he's charming and he's funny. but he absolutely stands by his conviction. He's not saying that it's perfect, but what he's saying is it's not less imperfect 90% of the time than what's already going on. We're enriching other people to tell us what to do and to control our outcomes. And like, when were we willing to relinquish that complete control? I don't believe in a limited government. I believe in none of it. You know, like, I believe that mankind is smart enough to police themselves.
That's the stupidest
not as individuals.
statement I ever heard.
Not as individuals.
Okay, because no.
But as a collective, you will be your police force. You will hire each other. You will hire each other based on your strengths. If you just take apart his point, you take apart the puppet master, you take those pieces out and you take their agenda away from it, and then you have what you have left is a collection of people who have a certain skill sets, who have certain drives and motivations, who have certain idea of morality. You're going to have that. And you're going to have organizations that are private organizations that you hire to enforce that which is important to you and that which you and your community believe is important. Not the other way around, not them saying we establish ourselves as the arbiter of everything for you, and we'll tell you how to live, how to think, what to do, what the law is. No, it's the other way around. The people are supposed to be the ones who tell those who are given the responsibility and given the authority to do what was God's, what does it say, like God's given rights, expectations. Like, it doesn't work the other way around. It shouldn't be man. It shouldn't be an organization telling man how to be. It should be the man telling the organization how to be. And then if they don't like it, fire them. It's not far off from how the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution was written, because we don't follow that either. We elect people who lie, tell you that you have to do things and they have no authority to tell you, completely oppress a nation and a world over the course of a couple of years as an experiment to see if they can get you to just acquiesce. And then you're supposed to say, thank you, sir. May I have another? I'd like to give you another 40% of my salary. That doesn't make sense. That's not what any individual wanted. Those are corrupt organizations who have kept themselves in power for the last 200 years, who are manipulating you and telling you what to do. So I can respect what he's saying. I don't see how it's a solution. But I don't see what is the solution. So I'm willing to at least listen. He's like, fuck them, get rid of all of them.
I have a question, and
how could it be worse?
It may be an ignorant question because I don't know about this. But I think it's something I might want to read a little bit, just to understand. So I don't know if this is an ignorant question or not, but is it not have the potential when you are now taking individuals or neighborhoods or cities or states, and you're going to hire these industries, companies for everything from your protection to whatever it is?
Yeah.
Do we not have the potential to have that split between rich and poor again? Like, is that not like we're going to have the bad cities? So it's kind of like the Old West when you had a booming town, right? And they could hire a very good sheriff. You had very law-abiding citizens, and you had a dirt poor town that didn't have a sheriff or couldn't afford a good one that just sat and drank all day. You had the outlaws running through, and people were dying. Yeah. So is that not like such a first price? That's the first thing that came into my mind when we were discussing this. Like, that right there that will never work, because that is going to just have that differentiation.
Because the human nature. Broad. I mean, that's the human nature. Yeah. So I wanted to bring this up before. I had watched this show once, and I can't remember what it was, but they were like, oh, we hate the way the government's set up in this town or whatever. So they do away with everybody in government power, and they go, all right, so what do we do? Well, we're going to have to appoint some people to run this thing. We're going to have to appoint some people to run this thing. So it gets all the way to the end, and they're like, the same fucking thing we did
We have a
before.
government again.
But because of human nature, it becomes corrupt again. But it was really funny to watch it because you were sitting there going, oh, how the hell are they going to do this? And they start doing it. And they're like, well, we're going to vote.
Right.
Vote.
Naturally,
Wait a minute.
you put the same form of government in the same.
Right. The same. They put the
necessity.
same exact shit back in.
Right.
And I was just sitting there going, that's pretty funny because it just shows human nature. So,
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so my question was not out of the ballpark completely.
no.
That was good.
Okay. Okay, good.
Well, both of yours actually.
It was more of a
good.
statement, by the way, that you made. It was not a question.
Yeah,
So
you're right.
the other person I wanted, the other guy I want to introduce you guys to, his name is Douglas Murray. He's a British author who has.
Before you go on, I want to know, did he make up his last name? Because I think he did. I'm gonna put
Malice,
he made up
probably.
his Malice. Probably made up
Yeah.
his own name. Been thinking that
Probably.
the whole time. Sorry.
It's a cool
okay, let's
name.
move on.
Yeah, Russian immigrant, likely, right? His name was like probably Sergey something, right?
Kretschmer.
For real?
Michael Kretschmer.
Kretschmer. Okay.
Yeah, he was born in the Ukraine.
Yep.
Oh, it was still considered the SSR at the time.
Yeah, part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's 45.
So Douglas Murray is a British author. He has a great book called The Madness of Crowds, and it's all about identity politics and the trans stuff and all the nuts and basically why it exists. Another one is the attack on the West, or the war on the West. It just came out, and basically how everything that is Western culture is suddenly being maligned. He's got a great logical voice, and he's not afraid to insult people. He's not insulting at all. He's very deliberate about how he communicates. And it's weird here because this is a best of Michael Malice clip, and this is Douglas Murray, who is starting off probably talking to Michael Malice about something. I've not seen them have a conversation, so I'm curious what this is. We'll see if it's a good clip on.
He's also part of the intellectual dark web.
Murray. Yeah, because he's a conservative. Oh, and he's a gay man. He's conservative, and he's gay, and he's British, and he's against trans bullshit and all that other stuff. It makes him an anomaly, you know.
It can be.
It's the accent.
But I can assure you it's more than that.
It's partly the accent.
No, I can assure you it's more than that. It's a hell of a lot more.
It's a hell of a lot more. Okay.
Michael Malice, you are an absolute gem, and we are so lucky to have you. The following clips are from interviews and podcasts that he has done. If you'd like to see them in full, I'll put a link in the description. But until then, enjoy the gem of Michael Malice.
That there always is in the U.S. and, very notoriously, this is the only quote from Eisenhower that people know. He warned about the military-industrial complex. There is an enormous amount of profit to be made and a lot of power to be gained when a nation is at war. It does well for the president in terms of approval ratings. The nation rallies around, and in times of conflict, they get to go to the funerals and look at heroes with all these coffins that didn't need to be there. You get to kind of seem strong. So there is an enormous incentive for Washington to have war. And in case people think, oh, you're talking crazy, keep in mind that last summer we killed a bunch of kids in Afghanistan. And not only did no one apologize, no one was even fired for it. Human life means absolutely nothing to the federal government. And if it can be leveraged anyway to further the government's agenda, they'll be happy to do so. These are really nasty, despicable, reprehensible people who will sell you genocide with a smile on their face, because this ties exactly back to these are the people who are selling missiles and tanks in order to kill children overseas. I bring this example all the time because this to me was the most disturbing example of corporate sociopathy. During the Iraq War, I believe this was on CNN, there was some executive talking about, the upcoming campaign against Baghdad. And they were talking about the shock and awe attack that was going to be imminent. And he said, if you have to ask, it's not shock and awe. And it's like, wait, you're presenting this like, if you have to ask if this is the biggest bouquet you've ever seen, shock and awe means an entire city population, I'm sure many of whom were loyal to Saddam or were bad people, I'm sure many of whom had blood on their hands, but also thousands, if not tens of thousands of children, tens of thousands of innocent people. If they're not terrorized, then we haven't done our job. And he had this big smile on his face, and you knew there was this big whiteboard. And he had sat down with the Department of Defense and talked about how awesome it's going to be that for 24 hours it would be stronger than the sun, and everyone there would be so terrified they'd be literally crapping their pants and begging for surrender. And it's like, you are literally a demon, selling death and destruction and with a smile on your face, and have no concept of anything remotely close to humanity.
It's crazy that these people get into positions of power.
It's not crazy because it's the same way that child predators are going to go where the children are. They're going to be drawn to where their talents are of use.
We should be skeptical of people and their motivations. I have no doubt that all these politicians adore their family, that they have genuine concerns, that I'm sure they said they want to make the world a better place. If you are comfortable using force to send armed men to harm innocent people, I don't care if you're nice or have good motivations. You are a bad human being.
Now, I always say the corporate press is factual but not truthful. Red pilling is the concept that what is presented as truth by the corporate press is in fact a carefully constructed narrative designed to keep some very unpleasant people in power. And that they do this not hypocritically, accidentally, intentionally, and by design.
Right. Got it.
Would you consider yourself red pilled by that definition?
I'd say I swallowed about 3/4 of that pill.
Okay. Well, there's my other quote, which is you take one red pill, not the whole bottle. So now the other pair of pills is the black pill and the white pill. Okay. Now the black pill is abandon all hope. We're done. A lot of times this is tied into demographics. There's no way the West can be saved given these current trajectories. The white pill, which is the title of my next book, is the good guys will win. And even if we don't win, we sure better go down fighting. And the concept that the villains who are our contemporaries are impossible to defeat is an absurdity.
And Trudeau, a man who has COVID, has potentially fled Canada due to security concerns about this truckers' protest into the US.
Well, in his defense, if you've got a convoy full of Nazi truckers, as a black man, he's going to have to kind of do a reverse Underground Railroad. Because they'll see his skin and they'll judge him accordingly.
Oh, no.
And now what CNN and other outlets had correctly posited as a problem has been resolved, but it's been resolved at their expense. So now the hue and cry is there's misinformation. People are being told dangerous ideas. Yeah, it's dangerous to your hegemony. It's dangerous to your prominence. CNN, Brian Stelter, had a whole segment. I don't think he named Tim Pool by name by saying, how is it that these YouTube shows, news shows, have orders of magnitude bigger than us? What do we do about this? It's like, this is literally every market. Like, I'm a publisher or I make apples. Someone comes along, their apples are, people like those apples better. You don't call in the state. You don't regard this as some kind of abomination against the natural order of things. You're like, okay, crap, what nerve is Tim striking that I can learn from? But they're never interested in that because they're not interested in learning. They're interested in training their audiences what to think and believe. And you see this in social media. I made this joke over the weekend. In the same way that Christians regard the Trinity as one God and three person, you have these entire populations, which is one mind in many, many persons, because the people will watch John Oliver or they'll watch, some other show on the right. And the next day, not only will they be repeating these views, but they're repeating them verbatim. And that is when you realize, oh, there's no mind there. We're trained since we're kids correctly that it's important for us to be informed on current events. So what these shows do very perniciously is they will bring up an issue that person hadn't heard about before, which is important for us to understand, sure, but immediately we'll train them on how to look at this issue and what their correct emotional response is. And people are hungry for that because they want to present themselves as informed, but they don't have the time or the capacity to undertake the critical or independent thought to do that. So it comes pre-packaged for them. So it's kind of the TV dinner of the mind.
What do you think about that?
As much as I don't want to agree, I kind of agree. The TV dinner of the mind. I love that. That's kind of accurate because, yes, some people have the time or even the thirst to know, the capacity to understand from multiple different inputs, read different places. Some people don't. So they get what's on their 11 o'clock news and they just take it as gospel. And
we've been trained since children then that's how you do it. That's now you have a perspective. Now you can sit at the big person table.
Exactly.
Because you're just repeating.
And that's why I say things like, I don't know if this is a stupid question, but because I am obviously not informed. I don't take the time because I don't have the time. And honestly,
I like that you think through it though.
Fucking depresses me.
When something, I like that when something grabs your attention, then you'll actually dig into it. Because if you dig into everything together, it's too much.
Yeah.
John, what do you think? Did Michael Malice redeem himself at least from some of his perspectives, or is he still kind of?
I think he is
off the deep end.
I know. I just think. I think the statements that he makes. It's the right way I want to say this. I mean, he to me, he's no different from any of the other people that he just throws the headline up there, and he says he doesn't even summarize the situation. He throws the headline up there and then moves on to the next. I don't know.
These are all clips.
No, I know they are, but I really would have liked to hear what Peterson said to him on the rebuttal to whatever his statement he was making. I don't know. I don't think it's as bad as everybody seems to think it is. So I don't know. I think that there is also in people in our perspective, it hasn't gone real well with who's been voted in. But that could all change in 22. And if you think about the grand scheme of things, the fact that there were 2 Democrat senators that prevented any of the real chaos to really happen that could have happened. I mean, there could have been some apocalyptic shit that went through and it didn't.
Right.
I mean, granted, COVID is still fresh in our minds and how it was, but how it was for us compared to some of these other fucking states was absolutely nightmarish for them. I mean, it's still bad in some states. I mean, it's weird, but my world hasn't really fucking changed all that much. So I guess I look through it through my eyes, and I really can't, I don't know, speak for anybody else. I never pretend to. So I don't know. I think things will correct themselves. I don't understand how we do have a government currently that doesn't enforce laws that are already on the books. Just the judge situation with the Supreme Court justices. It is against the law to protest outside of a judge's home.
Oh yeah,
it is against the law.
No, they've literally, the administration has encouraged it.
Absolutely. So let me play devil's advocate. If
they are being terrorists.
If the Supreme Court was in a different state, if the Supreme Court was in, let's just use Florida as an example.
Yeah.
You don't think the National Guard would have been called to?
They would call the state militia and then the National Guard to protect them. Absolutely.
Right. Well, I mean, they would have been removed from the situation.
Absolutely.
So I don't know.
It's tyranny.
It is
at the highest level.
But I think the alternative could be worse for more people.
The alternative to what?
To what we currently have right now. The structure in which that our government is formed. And again, you're seeing a great example of what the founding fathers really wanted, was that since the Senate didn't give them the votes that they wanted to do some of the things that they wanted, it corrected itself. I don't know. I think we have a shit. What just happened voting wise? We said the same thing that the Democrats said in 2016. Said the same exact thing, where it's not a legitimate election. The Democrats said that over and over again. But the Democrats also had another thing on their side. They always win in population vote, right? So not only did they say that it was rigged, but they also had the population to show that the more of the country wanted that other individual. It's happened twice. So are we just, is it just sour milk that people that feel the way that we do? I kind of feel like it is. Am I thrilled with what has happened in the last 2 years? Well, if I lived in Florida, it wouldn't have fucking bothered me in the least. Florida, they were shut down for like a month and that was it. And then everything went back to normal. Well, that's also something that the founding fathers in federalism believed, is that your state is going to control your outcome, right? So, and if you think about it, Biden put in an unconstitutional rule to have everybody vaccinated that was over 100 people. Well, the Supreme Court stopped that. So I feel like it is a little bit of sour milk.
But it influenced states and
Sure. No, and companies.
Absolutely. It influenced outcomes, right?
Absolutely. But who's to say, though, how much influence did the federal government have under Reagan? How it changed? Granted, he talked a good game how the states were going to have all the control, but goddamn, did all those states fall in line whatever what Reagan wanted to do? They really did. So I feel like it's a little bit of sour milk or sour grapes or whatever, that right now things aren't pointed in the direction of people like us, and again, I'm not speaking for you two, but I feel that we have some of the same thoughts and beliefs. So, and we also listen constantly to people that feel the same exact way that we do, or versions of the way that we feel, who have been telling us for the last 2 years that we got screwed, some of them. So I don't know. I think I've seen examples of how the government is wrong, in not only in my opinion, but in what the founding fathers want. But I've seen a hell of a lot of examples over this last 2 years, on how they would be proud on the way that states really took it upon themselves. The stronger states, don't get me wrong, the stronger states like Texas, even parts of Arizona. I mean, we weren't locked down very long at all. Idaho wasn't locked down like at all. So
Ducey passed a law that mask mandates are illegal.
Right.
Remember?
And then she put it in here in the city of Tucson, and he didn't do anything about it. So that was kind of, but I'm just saying, I think I've seen examples over the last 2 years. Not all of them have gone the way that I think they should have, but I've seen some pretty amazing examples of what the 3-tiered government is supposed to be. Granted, we have a media that is just horrible for one side, and it's disgusting, and just it's blatant. They say things out loud that they're thinking, but I have seen a lot of examples of it working, and I don't know.
When did you become a bleeding heart? When did that happen?
I'm an 80s liberal, dude.
Were you abducted by an alien?
I've always felt.
I remember getting banned from YouTube.
Huh?
Not long ago.
What was I talking about? That was grooming, wasn't it? I thought it was grooming children, though. That's different, dude. But anyway, I don't think it's as bad as everybody says it is. I just don't. I think it could be a lot worse, and I think we will have our opportunity in November.
What's not bad? What I don't understand. What's not that bad? What's not that bad about a specific agenda to?
Well, but first of all, it's always existed. So
turn your children into
Well, I just talked about that. I just said that that was a bad thing that has happened, that the grooming situation. But
What's not bad about destroying the middle class?
I don't know. We're all sitting in our own homes with our own computers, with our own microphones, in
The
air
impact,
conditioning.
the impact is
With air
acceptable.
conditioning.
Listen, the impact is acceptable today because the tolerance of people who have the power and the authority and the strength to rise up, they know it's there. So if you start slow and your ideal is to destroy the foundation of a government and of a people over time, and you see the quickening happening where it's not underground any longer, it's overt. The president says things, everyone says it out loud. They say all the things out loud that used to keep inside. They're letting you know that it's not an idea, it's an effort. It's an absolute goddamn effort. If you destroy 40% of small businesses in order to give all the power to the major companies that have all the influence anyways, it's this ripple effect. We can say, well, yeah, I mean, my life hasn't changed dramatically since. I have air conditioning, I have this, I have that. But the government has been able to shift how we live our lives. They have taken us indoors. They've put us remote. They have made this the norm. The impact comes generations from now. My kid doesn't know any different. I talked to Hunter about it. I'm like, I can tell you all these things that are happening. And ultimately you look at me and go, Dad, same house, same stuff. Even now, more money. I'm having a hard time understanding why you're upset about this. And I'm like, because my history and my perspective is mine. I don't expect you to have it because you're 19 years on this earth. You've seen things. They've been evolving this way anyway. And to you, it's normal. You're like, yeah, I live in the dark. I stay up all night until sunrise playing video games. I go to college for a few hours. You know, I'm like, you're going to find an occupation that's going to allow you to do things that this abnormal way of living. You have like 3 or 4 friends that you get together occasionally in the dark and do things, get high and go to McDonald's. And hey, we did all those things too in the dark. But for you, it feels like, this is it. Like I was raised this way. I was raised with technology. I was raised with the idea of having relationships that were not person to person any longer. That had nothing to do with pheromones and awkwardness and negotiation. And I'm like, try to tell somebody, ask somebody if they're a grown ass man over the internet. You're going to feel a certain type of response. Ask them a foot and a half away from their face if they're a grown-ass man, and you're going to feel something completely different. There's a level of violence that exists in truth. In trust me, I thought I was going to get punched in the face. I'm like, it's the way of living and the way of existing. Over time, it doesn't seem that dramatic. But if you go back 10 years even on how you were living your life, this wasn't part of it. The things that they're saying are important and are not, that wasn't part of it. People being pro-choice or pro-life and being not pro-choice but pro-kill babies, the extremism of it. You didn't have people out there going like, I will murder this fucking fetus right now. I will give birth to this child and cut its fucking head off because that's my right. There's this level of extremism that we now suddenly accept as like, oh, well, that's the news. Look, there's 100,000 people burning down our cities, and we have to sit back and go, we're racist if we say they should stop. That's the last 2 years. That's not. we can say it doesn't seem to be that bad if they haven't come into our neighborhoods yet. Like, where's the tipping point when you say a government who is expressing these ideals that take away our rights and take away our sovereignty and take away our ability to exert independence? Like, where's the breaking point where you go like, well, it's not that bad, and then you go, no, it's that bad?
So, and you're saying most of this really occurred over the last 2 years.
The quickening is happening. Like, it's
Right.
been happening in pockets over the last 15, 20 years.
Right. So what if
Yes.
what if a different party is in the White House and a different party is in charge?
What?
Because for the 4 years that Trump was around, I didn't feel that way.
You didn't feel what way?
I didn't feel like that the world was turning upside down, and black is white and white is black, men are women, women are men. So you don't think it's the current party that's in control right now and controlling the narrative as much as they are? You don't think that plays a huge role in it? You are more about, this is the plan from the beginning. It just really, they turned off the dimmer switch and turned on the lights.
They didn't expect. I truly believe the agenda has been the same for the last 50 or 60 years, and it's been slowly going in that direction. And then when the populace stopped and they elected an outsider to literally drain the swamp and to point out the inequities and the bullshit, they got scared. They said, this does not help the cause.
Right. They couldn't
We're
keep
losing
playing
control.
the long con. They had to step their foot on the gas. They
Right.
had to.
So as soon as they say, look, we have to take control back, and they did it very, very specifically on how they took the control back. They said, we can't allow that to happen again at any cost, even because that was the voice of the people. We can't let the voice of the people be heard again.
So I think I would be more in line with your thought process after November if it changes and it doesn't change.
Like, let's say the conservatives
they take both the House, they take the House and the Senate.
Right.
Okay.
And then it becomes lame duck. Or nobody can get anything done for them.
Well, it depends on the percentage we're talking about, right? Right. Doesn't that make a huge difference, right?
Yeah.
Because they can impeach everyone.
You gotta have 60-40. Yeah. Nobody has 60% control. You have to have a super majority.
Right.
But then what happens if Trump gets reelected and he basically does what he did, which he says, fuck you all, I'm pulling out of this, I'm not doing that, I'm going to do this, you're going to pay that. And he comes back and says, I don't care about the New World Order bullshit, I care about America. And they go, you know what, we've been trying since 1945 to get rid of America out of this equation. And you have a government that's in control right now whose decisions are to accelerate that cause before they lose the chance to make that cause happen. They're doing everything they possibly can to bankrupt and make irreparable the foundation that we could have if we're still using this electoral form of government, representative form of government, to our advantage. At what point are you able to break this system beyond repair? And that's what this 4 years feels like. It 100% appears like they said, well, Trump got in the way and he reversed 30 years worth of work quickly, because he said, I'm about America, I'm not about the world. And they said, oh no. So how do you destroy the fact that he threw everything back 30 years? You literally do what they're doing now. Sell off all the oil to China, all the reserves. 2/3 of our national oil reserves, which do not belong to the government, have been sold by Biden to China. 180 million barrels. He didn't do it. He didn't take the oil reserves and pump it into the U.S. economy to change oil prices. He took the oil reserves and he pumped it into China to make them more money because he wants them to be the ruling class. He wants them to have the reserve currency, not us. It's an anti-American, anti-US attack that's going on right now. And I didn't realize how pro-American I was until I realized that my kids' generation, those ideals will be gone, and it'll just be this universal financial conglomerate that's run by people who have all the money. Not that it hasn't been, but there's always been this semblance of democracy and this semblance of capitalism that you have the right if you have a good idea, and you have the right if you have a better product. You have the right to bring that product to market and to make people's lives better by selling it, and then therefore enrich yourself and the people around you. They want to do away with that completely. They don't want freedom of any fucking thing. They want control of every fucking thing. And that's the stuff that scares me. How long does it take for them to create laws and regulations that you can't sell anything? You can't be an LLC. You can't be an LLC. You can't be sole proprietorship. You can't create a business. You can't sell or produce anything because you don't have the right and you're not smart enough to do it, but the government will do it for you. When you take that away, you take away everything you can around destroying a nation's constitution. You go, look, we can circumvent the fact that we need to get voted in. Let's put 1 million people a day into this country who can vote illegally and influence them to vote. If not, then we'll get the vote. Don't worry about that. We know how to do that. We'll get the vote. Democracy is a joke.
Well, again, I would agree with you more after November.
If what?
If they do not win the House and the Senate, and the gubernatorial races around the country don't go the way that I think they're going to go based on, then I would say that there's more merit to what you're talking about, especially with what you just said about we can buy the votes. We have the votes. So if that does not change, where gas's average price is $5 around the country, then I definitely would be more aligned with what you're saying. But in my opinion, I think it's cyclical. The Rockefellers and the Kennedys, and they ran the goddamn country and did exactly what they wanted when they were in power. So it's not like it doesn't happen. We just didn't have social fucking media. We're hitting the end of our cycle. The United States is hitting the end of its cycle. The longest reigning empire was the Roman Empire. It lasted for 500 years. Didn't have the advancements of technology or the commerce that we did. But it also didn't have the diverse group of people that we have as well.
Since the 1600s, you had the Dutch, the British, and then America and China. We're hitting the end of that cycle. If you don't see that it's in the interest of the world government to put the pedal to the metal and to drive us into a wall.
I don't think it's going to happen.
I just say it's in their best interests.
Oh,
then the decisions that they make continuously, like stop the pipeline. We were 100% energy independent for the first time in our history. And a month later, the dickhead takes office and cancels all the things that made us that way.
That would be the domino that would drop if he opened the pipeline. It would affect everything.
You know that Biden is asking Saudi Arabia to pump more gas. And
yeah, I know. I love it.
Macron, the French president, went to Biden and said, stop asking. Like, why are you begging them to pump more gas? They can't. They're at full capacity. Like the rest, like in order to stabilize prices around the world, no foreign country could pump anything more. The problem is that Biden purposely stopped us from doing it because he thinks that part of this liberal world order is that we'll get off of fossil fuels in the U.S. We have enough fossil fuels to last us for, I don't know, infinitely, in forever. Like there's no running out, just in our own backyard. But he stopped that. No more rights, pull the permits, shut the pipelines off, no more domestic anything. And then saying, look, we're not going to get reelected if we don't get these prices down a little bit. Even though I've sold off 180 million barrels to China of our reserves that I can't use now. I'm asking the rest of the world to pump more gas to bring American prices down a little bit, because we're not going to change ours, because as soon as you start industry, as soon as you release the Kraken, getting the Kraken back in the earth, it's really hard to do. So we all let him strangely talk about transgender rights and all the other crazy shit he talked about while he was putting the Kraken back in the earth. We don't need to, we can't have stability. We can't have independence. We need to be dependent. We need to be poor. We need to get off of fossil fuels. We need to pay other countries a lot of money for the things they can produce for us. It's crazy that they've taken all these lives that matter and all this other bullshit rhetoric and constantly wave that in our face while doing these backdoor and backhanded deals that literally just tank the economy. It's none of it's on accident. You can't pump cash into an economy that's not producing anything and not get inflation. That's all there is to it. Free money for everybody. Free money for everybody. But why did they have to print all that cash in the first place? What do you know why they printed all that cash and said, oh, this is for COVID, or this is for unemployment? This is for COVID unemployment. This is for double indemnity. Nobody can work. Y'all get extra cash and don't worry, we'll just tax you on it later. They do it because they've already spent that money somewhere else and they can't account for it. Right. It's the same thing in 2008 with the housing bubble crash. When the fuck did politicians become realtors and you know, real estate moguls? Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and all that shit that should never be government control. They should not be speculating on real estate and who should get loans. But they created the whole housing bubble because they needed another reason to pump a bunch of cash into the economy, because they'd already spent all the goddamn money. The money was already spent. They're already. I don't see the cycle is ever going to stop. Unfortunately, I guess. I don't see how it's going to. I think we're
never have a utopia, and the cycle will continue one way or another until there is utopia, and that will never happen. So
it won't be utopia. It's going to be destruction.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And that's unfortunate.
So therefore, this cycle will continue.
It's what happens is when the country is in the throes of death, suddenly they start caring about dumb shit like gender and who can fuck who. And like you go back and you look at these other societies who advanced to a certain degree. Rome, they did it. Ancient Greece, they did it. It's like you hit this pinnacle where you're like, oh, we're so strong and so powerful and we're so rich forever that let's focus on things like, you know, the rights of philosophers to fuck little boys. Like, it's nuts. It's like you think you've answered all the world's questions. And what I want to understand is from the liberal world order, I actually kind of understand what they were trying to do. And I feel like it's genuine. I feel like the liberal world order is like, let's make the rest of the world liberal. It's not an anti-conservative movement. It's let's make the rest of the world respect human life and respect autonomy and respect ability, and let's make people work together and not be a bunch of warlords who want to destroy their neighbors. Like, let's create world peace because I think we can do it.
I understand the underlying reasons. I like what you just said. I get it. I understand the what they're seeing as possibilities.
Right.
Just can't even fathom why they even think this is fucking possible.
Well,
in whose mind?
Why do you think it's your right to impose that upon anyone? Right?
What?
Like,
yeah.
For the liberal world order. Like, I get that you want world peace. Do they?
Exactly.
I get that you want one world government. Do they? Like, what makes you the arbiter of the rest of the world's future and outcome?
Right.
Doesn't that just make you benevolent despots? Doesn't that just make you fucking Lenin, Stalin, and Pol Pot and every other fucking ruler who's like, I will murder those who get in the way of my idea of peace and love and harmony?
But it's never been tried here.
Right. You want the whole world to unite, but only under the way you see fit.
Right. If you don't follow my rules, I'll kill you.
That therein lies the problem. That will never work because there will always be someone else that think their ways are better and their ways are better, and everybody thinks their way is better. So
think of the maskers versus the anti-maskers, the vaxxers versus the anti-vaxxers. I want you to live so bad that I will murder you in order to make it happen.
Right. Yeah. It's just
that's sad
through all that stuff. Just I mean, honestly, it was so sad. It kind of just cracked me up because I was like, my brain is not always sane. Okay, I will be the first to fucking admit that. Who in the fuck thought this was a good idea? Because I kind of want to dig in their brain.
You're trying to use common sense.
I know. My mom always says that's my downfall. She's like, you have too much common sense. I'm like, yeah. No, it's not that I have too much. So many people don't have it. So many people don't have any.
Common sense is a superpower.
Yeah. Yeah. Going through all this, I was just like, wow. Like, it was like a blaring light. This is the most insane fucking thing. And I'm like, why do they not see this big blaring stoplights?
my body, my rights, my right to choose. Okay, well, I don't want to get a shot. You better get a goddamn shot because it's not your body. It's not up to you. Wait, which one is it? Is it my body, my choice? Or is it only your body, your choice when it comes to murdering babies? Be specific.
Thank you.
You can't have both. You can't have both sides of the argument.
Yes.
Which one is it? Or is it there's no such thing as a woman? Or is it that if you feel like a woman and you have balls, we need to respect it immediately, allow you to chop that shit off as fast as possible and give you a vagina. Otherwise, we are violating your rights. Which one is it? There's no women, or if you feel like a woman, then you're a woman and we better not get in the way. You can't have both sides of the argument. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's irrational.
And yet, half the country feels that way.
Women, people with the capacity,
right.
People with the capacity to give birth.
You mean birthing people?
No, people with the capacity to give birth. People with the capacity to give birth. You can't say, do you believe that a man can give birth? If you say no, then you are perpetrating a hate crime. You're denying the fact that you're denying trans people.
For 1% of 1% of the population.
Doesn't matter. You're denying their existence and you're perpetrating violence upon them.
No, I'm just saying this is all for 1% of 1% of the population.
Right.
And we're banned off of YouTube again. I'm just kidding.
Can men give birth? No, that's a crime.
I need to go to sleep.
I know, me too.
I was told 90 minutes.
Oh yeah. Well, I was done in 90 minutes. I don't know why you started talking.
It's true. That's fair.
I'm brain dead now.
Michael Malice, Douglas Murray. There's some good voices. Douglas Murray, he's not an anarchist. He's just about why is there a war on Western culture, and Western not meaning United, just the U.S.
Right.
Basically, anything that's developed post Greek outside of Europe. Why is it bad? Why do they want to destroy us so bad? It's interesting stuff.
Alrighty.
I love you guys.
Love you guys too.
Say your thing.
So y'all are just tired now. So am I. I don't really want to talk about it. I can't ever ask for sympathy because I do it to myself. I don't like Elizabeth Warren. I hope she has a stroke. Who else? I think Elon Musk is a genius because he's going to back out of the Twitter deal. They're going to sue him. He's going to go to court and they're going to be forced to admit how many bots they have and how much money they don't have and how much influence they don't have.
I think it was more about that he wanted to liquefy $8.5 billion worth of stock in Tesla and not have a collapse. That's my theory. So when the owner of a company takes out a ton of stock, like Facebook's a great example. He took out $1 billion, from Facebook, and Facebook stock plummeted. Well, Tesla made it really public that he wanted to buy Twitter. Well, he needed a certain amount of money of his Tesla stock. So it's not, hey, it's, Tesla's fine, everything's going good, but I need $8.5 billion of my stock to be able to put in on this Twitter deal. So Tesla stock didn't do very much when he did that. Any other time, a president or a CEO of a company would liquidate that much stock, the stock would plummet. So I think, I mean, Jeff may be right too about the whole bot thing. I think it was more a financial thing, that the most amount that he is going to get tagged for this is $1 billion. It's all he can. They could sue for whatever they want, but the agreement they have, if he pulled out of the deal, the most amount of money he'd lose is $1 billion. And after taxes, you're looking at $600 million. So he was able to take out $8.5 billion out of his own company without the stock collapsing at all. And the worst it's going to cost him is $660 million. It's fucking brilliant. So that's where I think he went on it. You could be right about the bot thing, but I think it's complete financial. I think it's completely financial. Completely.
Interesting. Either way, makes him a genius.
Oh, yeah.
Either way, Twitter's done.
Oh, yeah. What did they close at today?
They've never made a profit.
Are they like at $32 or something like that? Twitter stock. Where is it now? 34. Oh, it rallied a little bit. Oh, this morning it was 32 and change, so it rallied a little bit. But yeah. Yeah, the 52-week high, $73.
And it's down to what?
It's 34.06.
Oh God.
So it's
that's brutal.
Yep. After hours actually traded up to 34.44. It's very interesting. So yeah, the most he can lose is $1 billion. And like I said, after taxes, you're talking 660 million to somebody who's worth, a couple $100 billion, so it's interesting to me. All right. I have to go to bed. I'm
Night.
tired.
All right.
All right, for Transplanter Devil, John Trapp, and Missy Mama Fox, Jeffrey with the G. What do I say, Mama? How do I get out of these fucking things?
Remind me.
I say love one another and love yourself.
There you go. Have a good night,
Love the
y'all.
one you're with.
If you're not with, love the one you're with. All right.
Right,
Good night, everybody.
Good night, guys.
You send me, darling, you do. Whoa. It's just me. Josh Hawley says Democrats have lost their minds after tense exchange with progressive law professor goes viral. So I don't know if you guys saw this. Wokeism.
Industrial types, they had unboundless optimism that in America they can do this, and they went out and did it.
American Dynasty, streaming now.
Who's we? We fix to get filthy, stinking rich boys.
Now, good morning to both of you.
Filthy rich.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, y'all are no strangers to this. I remember when Antifa protested outside of your house. And Aaron, what happened? You were home alone with your baby, right? Good morning to both of you.
Absolutely. What the hell?
Y'all are no strangers to this.
Stop.
She was just a few weeks old, and I were
Stop.
alone. The protesters came at night with bullhorns.
What the hell else is playing on this page?
At least 3 men came up on our porch and were shouting for Josh to come out, even though I'd already asked them to leave. Our neighbors were terrified. Our dog was terrified. It's just not something that should happen in a residential area at night. They're perfectly appropriate places to protest, but someone's home at night is not that.
Yeah, I'm sure you were scared to death, especially knowing you had to protect your child. Senator, what's your reaction to all of this? The riots, the chaos, the vandalism. In one area in Portland, they spray painted "Death to SCOTUS."
Just because I can't control the page. I'm done with it. I don't want shit playing in the margins. So last bit of news I read was Josh Hawley says Democrats have lost their minds when the tense exchange. Oh, here we go. Is this the same thing? How did I wind up back on Fox News? You know what? I don't want to play anymore. I'm done. I don't like that.